Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of A Brief History of. I was looking through my videos and I was like, what have I not done in a while? I was like, oh, I haven't done a brief history of in a long time. I decided to do a video on, or as you can see, so I'm wearing the t-shirt of it, guess. This is probably gonna be a short one because there wasn't really that much information on the company itself. There isn't that much history. The company, I guess, because it's pretty new. Well, it's not like Champion, which was made in literally like 100 years ago. So, anyways, let's get to the video. Guess was established in 1981 by the Marcenio brothers, and their names were Georges. It's weird. It's like French, and I really can't say it that well. Georges, Paul, Maurice, and Armand. It's an American clothing brand that specializes in watches, jewelry. Before their initial launch in the US, the brothers actually opened up a line of clothing stores called MGA in Europe. Actually, let's go more specific, not Europe, France. Guess was thought up by Georges and actually the story behind it was that I think it was in California, George was in a taxi cab with his brother, and he asked the driver to guess who had the biggest cheeseburger, and it's because he saw a billboard of McDonald's. And it's the weirdest story to how people get their brand names, but eventually the brothers were brainstorming ideas for the name of their brand, and they couldn't think of anything, and then George brought up, guess again. They decided to go with it because they literally didn't have anything else. I couldn't imagine what George is like. He's probably like yeah, you guys thought it was stupid, but you guys actually picked it. Or something like that. He sounds like a little brother. George was actually responsible for the main design and style of Guess. Maurice was in charge of the product development. Armand and Paul were in charge of the distribution and advertisement. George actually created the new form of the stonewashed denim that was lighter and more form-fitting. Jeans before then were a little bit more rough and they weren't as flexible, and of course they kind of just were there and you kind of had to put your legs in them. They weren't comfortable at all, and Guess kind of reinvented the denim style and revolutionized it in a way and made denim material that much better, because the jeans were actually comfortable. Well, maybe not comfortable, but they were more comfortable than they ever were before. Some tension actually started to build between the brothers, which kind of makes sense when you have a group of 4 people owning a brand. There's obviously going to be some conflict in decisions that were being made. So George actually wanted to sell Guess more exclusively and kind of more high-end, I guess. But the other 3 brothers wanted to sell Guess way more wide open and just send it everywhere. And of course there was a bit of conflict for when that happened. Eventually though, George did give in, and Guess itself went completely public. During Guess's first year of sales, they made approximately $6 million. After the first year, Guess started to send out official advertisements. These same advertisements actually won official Clio awards, so I guess they're pretty good. I never actually watched them because I was born in 2000, so I've never actually seen any of this stuff, but apparently they were good and they won these awards. These commercials actually featured prominent models like Anna Nicole Smith and Kate Upton. During the 80s, Guess jean was probably one of the most popular brands to buy jeans from, and they actually kind of were the first pioneers and people that trailblazed. They were the first people to kind of trailblaze the idea of designer jeans and having that specific jean meant for that specific brand, and Guess was one of the first companies to do that. Their track record isn't perfect though. It seems pretty good, but they actually ran into a little bit of trouble in the 80s and 90s because of, you guessed it, sweatshop. They were actually found guilty of obviously doing sweatshop operations and underpaying their workers, which I feel like most companies are. They just kind of they try to keep it really low key. I think most companies now, well, maybe older companies, big ones, definitely have some form of sweatshop business because that's how they make so much money. They make it for the low and they sell it for the high, and that's how they get their profit. Next, there's not much else really for the Guess's history. There's a fun fact though. Marty McFly from Back to the Future actually wore Guest's apparel. One of the outfits he wore for the movie was actually like exclusively made by Guest just to be featured in that movie. So there's a little fun fact for you guys. As you can see, I am still wearing a Guest t-shirt. I actually got lucky with this. I went to Toronto and I got this for about $10 at a thrift store. That was a brief history of Guest. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, and share. It would be greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.